What changed after you came out of hospital?
I had a lot more compassion. When we look at something that we've been avoiding and when we accept it to be happening,
Yeah.
it released a lot for me. It gave me
Yeah.
permission to actually feel what I'd been so desperately trying to push away. And that
Yeah.
resistance was actually creating more pain. So the first step of accepting, oh, this is what's happening, created a sense of
Congruence.
congruency because my behavior was reflected and it was all adding up in my head, right?
Yeah.
And adding up in your head. And so there was more acceptance in you of what was happening, that this wasn't necessarily something I was choosing, though there were parts, of course, we all have choice and behavior and autonomy, but it gave credibility to how incredibly painful it was. I think then over time, because I'm reflecting on how I got better. The biggest thing was the last few years doing the trauma work, right? And the
Yeah.
emotional health consulting stuff that we have individually gone after. But I didn't have that knowledge then.
No.
And I wish I did, but I think there's process and you don't know what you don't know. And there's a timing for everything. Goodness, if I had what I now carry during that time, I think it would have been remarkably different. It was so slow. In fact, I look at all those years of recovery. That's the thing that was so frustrating to me. It wasn't like I left hospital, did a CBT program and suddenly was better. This took years. And I don't think I ever learned how to be mum. In that season, it was just one foot in front of the other and felt very much like just surviving. So I think it was a slow, steady step. I know community played in. We had a group of beautiful friends at our local church who they were the action fun people. And it was great because that's what
Yeah.
brought me alive. So we would go hiking and camping and the kids would go in backpacks. So we did a lot of outside things.
Yeah.
I did a lot of journaling and I started seeing a counselor at the time, which was helpful in some ways just to have someone to validate my experience. And it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes 3 steps back.
Yeah.
And it just felt so clunky and slow. As I understood my story more and you understood your story more, things started to completely change. So much of our healing has really happened in the last few years while we've been traveling and we've been
Yeah.
doing this deep
Yeah.
inner work. It just felt like survival, I would say,
Totally.
for years.
And there's a reality that young kids, to a degree, is survival in some regards. Like the physical strain that's placed on families with young kids is huge.
I can still say though, for those who are like, oh my gosh, I'm never having kids or, in the thick of it, I can still say, even though it was very, very dark and scary for a lot of it, it was also beautiful.
Yeah.
Children bring this joy and this playfulness and this silliness that I don't think I ever would have experienced without them. I think they challenged me to keep going. It's
Yeah.
interesting reflecting on, conversations we now have had of like having kids or not having kids. I know if we hadn't had kids, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
It has fast-tracked our healing. It has made us way less selfish. It's forced us to look at our own behavior and our priorities and decide what life do we actually want to live.
Yeah.
And to go after that with joy, because you see these kids, they laugh multiple times a day. They are silly. And that's hard for someone who's like, I don't want to be silly right now. I don't want to play. I just need to get things done. To humble yourself a little bit, to let things go
Yeah.
and to lean into that childlike wonder. They have brought so much joy. And I think, yes, there was the postnatal depression. They have brought the greatest amount of joy to my life, to our life. They're the best decision we ever made, even though it was incredibly hard.